Hello again, hello. Today I want to talk to you about aperture priority M42 mount cameras. To make aperture priority in M42, some companies tried it, in a response to the K-mount with the through the lens metering with a open, fully open aperture. Yes, that was in a way to try to keep up with that development. Now, they came up in M42 with some very creative solutions, I think, to add the aperture priority function, because the main problem with M42 is that the aperture, like this, with M42 cameras, the aperture is being activated by this little pin and a lever in the camera that switches up, presses this pin and then activates the aperture. So there are no turning parts in it that you can connect with a potentiometer or whatever. So the problem was if you want to make this auto, and really auto, so with also a clear possibility to view through the lens and measure the light with a open lens, that resulted in some creative solutions like this one. This is a Revueflex AC1. It's a rebrand of a Chinon Memotron, the CE3 Memotron. It's quite a technological advanced camera, I think. What did they do? You can just use through the lens metering with open aperture. What happens is follows. When you press the shutter release button, you see this lever is being activated. That means the aperture will stop down if you to the value you've chosen. And then the camera measures the light coming in and calculates the shutter speed at that time, at exactly that same time. There is a little time between the fully pressing the camera and the moment when the mirror comes up and the shutter goes open. Works like this. This is on auto. Look, I press the shutter speed. Hardly noticeable, but there is a little time lapse, and the time lapse is needed for the camera to measure the incoming light when the aperture is activated. So in practice it goes pretty quick. I mean, you can point it and the camera calculates it. Through the viewfinder you can see when you press this shutter release button halfway, you can see the shutter speed the camera will choose. There's no safety that if the camera comes below 160 or above 1/1000, no, there's no, it just goes. This camera has a shutter speed from 4 seconds to 1/1000 of a second. And an interesting thing is here a memory. It works like this. You point at your subject, you press this memory button, you keep it pressed, and then if you turn it to another subject, it uses the shutter speed and chosen aperture you have calculated if the camera in that position now to the subject over there. That is a memory button. It's also very creatively done. Like I said, it works pretty quickly. It works with every M42 lens. Very nice solution in my opinion. Now, another one, and this one dates I think a little bit earlier than the other one. It's this one. It is also a Revueflex. It's an EE303, and this is a rebrand of a Cosina highlight, and it works almost the same like the other Revueflex. There is, however, a little difference. Where with the Revueflex, the AC1 goes the first step of the shuttering, so the advancing of this lever manually. Here it's, when it's not locked, here it's a firm click. You hear it? The first stage of the shutter release is this one. And then, okay, so this for me works a little bit better, because if I want to measure how much light comes in to see if I need a tripod or not, or if I overexpose or not, I simply push the first stage. I can see it. If I'm not satisfied, I push it back with this button. So let's see, I've now set it on F8. I press the first stage. It's mechanically, I think. I see the shutter speed is below 1/60. I want to abort the whole shutter release procedure. I press this button. I reset the aperture to a value I want, or I guess it will be enough to use without a tripod. Measure it again. If it's okay, I press through and then it goes. So you first do like this, and then it goes like this. That is how it works. Now, in auto mode, it basically, if you press it at once, it goes pretty quickly, the whole procedure. You hardly notice any time lapse. You see, this is how it measures. You hardly notice any time lapse in which time the camera has to calculate the appropriate shutter speed. What I do like more about this one is that I not accidentally fire the shutter when I want to measure what shutter speed it will choose in auto mode. For the rest, it has shutter speeds from 1 second to 1/2000th of a second, a battery check button, 2 sockets for a flash, and also here, like the Memotron, a memory button for the chosen shutter speed in combination of the chosen aperture. There's also, like the Chinon Revueflex, a lock for the shutter. Battery compartment is here, and for the rest it's pretty much the same, although I like this one more, and that is because of this function. It feels a little bit more safe to measure the shutter speed here in the first stage than with the Chinon clone, the rebranded Chinon. These are pretty much logical cameras. You know, if you think I want to make a aperture-priority M42, let's make it like this. But there are also, and I want to show it to you, some more unlogical cameras. Well, unlogical to me, with some choices they've made that are not logic to me. This is a Practica, and they also made a aperture-priority camera. And this one uses a different system from that one. It doesn't use a first stage to close the aperture, measure the light, and then open the shutter, etc. No, this one, the lens, has electronic contacts. And that means the value of the aperture is communicated with the camera before you touch anything. You will find the lenses, all the lenses that contain from Practica, so Pentagon lenses, that contain the words electric, you can use with this system. It's also an M42 mount. Now, other M42 lenses without this system you can also use, but then you have to adjust the switch on the lens to manual, and you have to switch this button to the lower position. This means aperture closed measuring, and this one is open. So you have to, depending if you use an electric lens or not, you have to change the setting here. So far so good. It feels very, very solid and very logical. However, there is a light meter inside. It gives you the chosen shutter speed with a needle. And the only thing you can use this light meter for is to see whether the shutter speed is above 1/60 of a second, so you don't have to use a tripod, or that it's overexposing above 1/1000th of a second. Now, when I choose the manual position, the light meter is disengaged, and that is strange to me. So when I choose the manual position, I cannot use the light meter anymore. It's simply switched off. That to me is a peculiar choice, but anyway, it's like that. It still is a very nice camera. The other two, if you have the two Revueflexes I just showed you, if you go to manual modes, you still can use the light meter. So anyway, I have a soft spot for Practica cameras because they're cheap, very solid, nice lenses, and I think undervalued. Nice camera. However, with a strange choice to disengage the light meter. The last one is, well, for me is pretty quirky. Extraordinary, strange. This camera is a Cosina CSL, and this camera has a little accessory. Normally this camera, it has a light meter inside, and with the light meter you choose whether your chosen aperture is okay with the chosen shutter speed. So if you choose a different shutter speed here, then the light meter will change value. If you change the aperture, the light meter will change value as well. And this one here has two sockets. And one socket is for a special accessory, and that is this one. This accessory makes this camera a aperture priority camera. But first I have to change it. I have to put this one on 1/1000th of a second. Yeah, like this. And here 1/1000th of a second. And now I can put this thing here. And you can see, maybe you can see it on the camera. There's a little slot. And when I push this down, this slot falls into a little pin on the shutter speed control of the camera. Now I connect the socket to this one. In this accessory are batteries. I close it now. And what happens now? Well, let's show. Well, let's try. Let's see what happens. I press the shutter speed button. First stage. The first stage, it works in the stage the same as this Revueflex, which is a rebranded Cosina. So the Cosinas, you have a two-stage trigger. The first stage activates the aperture, and you heard the motor running a little bit. What the motor did was it chose the shutter speed. Now when I press it, the camera will fire with the chosen shutter speed. Let's do it again. I will change the aperture a little bit. When it keeps on turning, it means it's heavily underexposed or overexposed. It doesn't stop automatically in this case. So let's point it that way and try it again. Oh, you couldn't see it moving because my finger was in front of it, but it moved a little bit. I will put it now back, point it to me. let's see what happens. First stage, and you can see this shutter speed dial moving. Oh, it's still, I have to put it a little bit up for better light. Again, you see it shows the shutter speed, and then I press it, and then there was the chosen shutter speed. Also with this one, like the other one, if you have pressed it halfway to measure, you know, the light in the light meter, or the chosen shutter speed on this one, to choose the shutter speed on this one, you can disengage it again with this button and then start all over again. You could hear the motor again. Okay, let's do it again. Oh, and the shutter speed was obviously the same as chosen. Okay, we go again. Okay, see if, oh, then it's okay, then it's the lowest shutter speed. Well, let's point it in that direction. I will put my finger here. The motor is turned and it stops at the suggested shutter speed. So with this little accessory, you make this camera a aperture priority. However, it does not measure as quickly as the other three you have seen. You really have to press this first stage to give the accessory time to choose the appropriate shutter speed. Because if you do it too fast, it will just go at the shutter speed it is currently on. So not what it has to be, because it did not choose yet, but it will go on the shutter speed it's currently on. I will show it to you. Like this, I press it quickly. You could hear it. Now I press it slowly. You see, now the camera, this accessory, has time to adjust the shutter speed, and then, you know, I can press it and fire. To me, this is a gem, and it's because, well, of all the M42 aperture priorities, this one is, I think, most collectible. I think is the right word, because it's so. I don't know. I just love these kind of accessories. It looks a little bit strange, you know. It's people ask, what is it? Especially in this digital age, people don't know what the analog is anymore. At least most people. So it's very funny, and I love the way they made this camera and give an accessory just to upgrade the camera to aperture priority, and they've already thought about it here. And this actually is also a socket for a dedicated flash. So there was already a communication of the incoming light to a flash, and they used that communications and measurement to turn a little motor in this accessory. Mechanically, very interestingly, electronically, pretty basic, but it functions all the time, and yeah, I just love it. For the rest, this camera has, well, not the memory button the other ones have. It does have a self-timer I never use, but again, I think it's a funny camera. So this is my little collection of aperture priority cameras, and well, all of them have their charms. I know the Practica has made to me the strange choice to disengage the light meter, but what I love about the Practica, it's the simplicity in design, and it's built really like a tank, really. I own about 5 Practicas. They're very cheap. You can buy them for 20 to 30 euros. They're very cheap, but they keep on going. They keep on going. I love that. And yes, these, you know, these two Revueflexes, these rebranded Cosina and Chinons, for that time they were technically advanced, and they tried to keep up with the K-mount lens bodies. I think that was the reason they because in K mount you had this aperture priority and also in other mounts. So I think they wanted to keep up with it and figured out how to do it. And this was the result in this case. I love it. Also because I can use my M42 lenses with it, even if I want to use aperture priority. What I said, I have a few Practicas with only a light meter in it. Then you can also use all the M42 lenses, and you have to adjust yourself and read the internal light meter. But aperture priority is just a little bit quicker, a little bit more convenient. If I want a bokeh, I put it to the lowest value, and the camera calculates the shutter speed. It goes just a little bit quicker. If I want a high depth of field, I go 11 and sometimes higher, and the camera calculates everything. I don't have to adjust the shutter speed. It's convenient. It's a convenient choice in the functions you can choose on some cameras. So for convenience, I would choose this one. For durability, believe it or not, but I think I will choose this one, the Practica. And just for fun to walk with a original design, and this one. This one is well, maybe it's because it's most collectible, but it's very dear to me. I can't explain, it's just, I love it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my mumbling about these M42 aperture priorities. There are more aperture priorities M42 cameras, but I think these are the most not important, but the most different systems in aperture priority: accessory, contacts on the lens, and a two-stage trigger to engage the aperture. I think those are the three main systems they all used, and I'm happy to have them. But if you have any suggestions about other aperture priority M42 cameras, let me know. I'm very curious, because I love them, and they're quite good available. They do not cost the world, because really, and then I will stop. Really, these Revueflexes, people think, oh, Revueflex, what is the kind of B brand? It was sold in shops, especially one shop. Can't remember which shop it was, but shops in Germany had them. It was specially made for that shop, and it was all shit. But it wasn't. It was a rebranded Chinon. Same goes for this one. It was a rebranded Cosina, and believe me, Cosina are not bad cameras. They also made some excellent lenses. Same goes for Chinon. So yes, and they have both brands, Chinon and Cosina, have a history in making cameras. So it's not shit. Believe me, it's not shit. You can feel it. It's durable, and it's technically very nice and very well made. So don't let you be put off by Revueflex or whatever. They're very cheap, really. Maybe when people know it's a rebranded Chinon Memotron, they ask more. But 30 to 40 euros, it must be possible to get them with a little lens on it. Same goes for this one. I bought this for 25 euros with this lens, which I don't know. I have to look it up if this lens is any good. It's full metal, so I will look it up or try it on my digital camera to see how it works. Because for my digital camera, I have a little adapter, M42 to micro four thirds. So all the lenses you have on these bodies, you can use on digital cameras too. The same goes for K-mount lenses. It's a treasure to have them, and you only need two adapters if you have K-mount and M42. Well, I will stop now. Thank you for watching. If you have remarks, please let me know. Thank you.